It's your little one's first Thanksgiving, whether they are 3 months old, 6 months old, or even approaching 1 year. We are chatting about the different food ideas you can give your baby on their first holiday, along with how to set food boundaries with how you choose to feed your little one. Thanks for joining us. This is Newbies.
He's gorgeous.
It's a girl.
Surprise! The whole family's here!
So when are you having the next one?
It's just poop.
Ready for another?
Wow, you look really tired.
Ready to go back to work?
Yellow poop? Seriously?
Did you sterilize this?
Sex? Now? You've got to be joking.
You should sleep when the baby sleeps.
She doesn't look anything like you.
I thought you already had your baby.
I did.
Babies don't come with instructions, so there's Newbies, helping new moms and new babies through the first year.
Welcome to Newbies. My name is Kaylee Hunt, and I'll be your host today. If you haven't already, be sure to visit our website at newmommymedia.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, which keeps you updated on all the episodes we release each week. Another great way to stay updated is to hit that subscribe button in your podcast app. And if you're looking for a way to get even more involved with our show, then check out our online community. It's called Mighty Moms. That's where we chat more about the topics discussed here on our show. And it's also an easy way to learn more about our recordings so you can join us live. So this is a fun holiday episode. I'm starting a new trend where we do baby's first holiday, and this is Thanksgiving edition. So we have a veteran mom joining us who's already been on a podcast episode about military wives. Sarah, thank you for joining us today. Tell our listeners who didn't listen to the military episode a little bit about your family, your kids' age, and where you guys are located.
Hi, thanks for having me. I have three kids who are 7, 5, and 1, and we live in Idaho. And we are a military family that just got stationed out here.
Fun. I love having you on, first of all, because you are experienced. You have different kids, different ages. And so and every kid is different, but I love that you're still walking this line. And with your 1-year-old, is this his second Thanksgiving or will this be his first?
So this is technically his second. I believe he
Aw.
was about 3 months old last year.
How sweet. This is so fun. So then he shouldn't have really been eating. So
No,
he'll be
but
eating this time around.
yes, he will be. And it's actually funny because, you're talking about boundaries
Yep.
and he has food allergies. So this will be my first real Thanksgiving dealing with a child with food allergies.
Ooh, so interesting. I will definitely include some questions about that. Yay. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. And we also have another mom joining us today. Lizzie is a mom of 2 and has a very fun Instagram account sharing lifestyle tips, cooking tips, and other fun mom content creation. Lizzie, thanks for joining us. Please tell us where you're located and more about your family.
Hi, my name is Lacey. I am in Arizona and I am a mom of 2, as you said. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So I had them back to back and that was really fun. But basically, my account is centered around healthy lifestyle, holistic living. I guess you would call me crunchy. I guess you could call me a crunchy mom. We pretty much just stay away from food dyes and additives that are unnecessary. I really am passionate about cooking, so a lot of our lifestyle revolves around that. And I'm very close with my family. Like I said, we live in Arizona, so I have a brother and a sister in San Diego, so I do travel to California quite often. And that's just a little bit about me.
Yay, I'm excited to get the different perspectives, especially with you said you love to cook, so I'm assuming you cook some good Thanksgiving dishes that are baby
do.
friendly and family friendly. We'll get into incorporating all of that coming up. And then I'll also be chiming in on celebrating Thanksgiving with my under 1-year-old. She will be 1.5 this time around, but last year she was around 8 months. So
Ooh.
it was fun to see the first foods that I wanted to feed her for Thanksgiving, what I avoided. Anyway, we'll get into all of that coming up after the break. Today we're discussing baby's first Thanksgiving. So first question, I'm going to toss it over to Sarah. Did any of your babies who wasn't able to eat food the first Thanksgiving? I know we talked about your son. He was around 3 months old. So did you choose to feed him anything when he was that young, or did you really wait until this time around?
So I definitely have always kind of lived by the waiting until about 6 months to feed the babies.
Mm-hmm.
I exclusively nursed all three of mine. And with Liam, him being 3 months definitely just felt way too early for me. And
Mm-hmm.
then like I said earlier, he does have food allergies. And so I wasn't feeding him any food directly, but I also had to be very careful about what I was eating because even through nursing, those allergies could still be transferred to him.
How interesting. I know it's common for babies to have like a milk allergy. Is that what Liam had? Like where you couldn't do any dairy at all?
Yeah, so he is 14 months old and I'm still nursing him. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had dairy since he was 8 weeks old,
Whew.
and he actually has an egg allergy as well. So I haven't had eggs either in almost a year.
How wild, but I'm glad you found out his triggers. That's really interesting. Lizzie, what about you? Did they their first Thanksgiving, did you give them food? Were they old enough to even eat food?
Both of my kids were born in the summer, so they were
Mhm.
both about 5 or 6 months around Thanksgiving. So we did give them, we did a baby-led weaning in the beginning, but for Thanksgiving, I did give them puree. I did give
Mm.
them like, just like taste testers, like a little bit of peas and mashed potatoes and just really, watered down, and they really enjoyed it. Both of my kids are very food motivated, so
Oh,
from
good.
an early age too.
Good. How fun. I did the same thing. My daughter was 8 and we kind of did a mix of everything. We did like regular turkey, like just plain turkey that I made. I didn't butter it up too much or season it too much. And then I like mashed up some yams. I gave her what's it called? Stuffing, or dressing. That's part of like people in the South call it dressing. I did give her some of that, which she loved, but she's really not a big eater. She didn't even like the mashed potatoes, which I was kind of shocked about. But anyway, Sarah, you mentioned baby-led weaning at all. I mean, that you did baby-led weaning. What are some good baby-led weaning foods for Thanksgiving that your kids enjoyed when they were younger?
So I think that my kids kind of enjoyed everything.
Oh, good.
Really, as long as I could like cut it up, you know, to where they could pick it up and eat it without it being a choking hazard, then
Hmm.
I gave it to them. So I think I want to say it was Ava was about 6 months old whenever she had her first Thanksgiving. So that's my now 5 year old. And so we did try a lot of foods with her. So I remember giving her like sweet potatoes and
Mm, yep.
green beans and just things that she could easily hold and like gnaw on. And then my son, being about 2 years older than her, just thought it was the cutest thing that she could eat. So he was like airplaning mashed potatoes to her.
How sweet is that? Oh, I love that. I love getting other kids involved. I feel like it makes one less stress for the parents, and two,
Yes.
it's just more fun, like just getting more family centered involved. My next question, I guess, for Lizzie is talk about purees. So you said a little bit that when your kids were young, you gave them purees. What are good foods that you would recommend to puree? Maybe bring to a family gathering. One that comes to mind is obviously sweet potatoes or yams. But what would be another good puree?
Yeah, I would recommend peas. A pea puree
Mm.
was that was like a hitter in my household. The kids loved peas. And then we did do the mashed potatoes. We did yams as well. And then just in general, like I pretty much in the beginning pureed like anything. I did
Mhm.
broccoli purees. I did like apples, like applesauce type thing with a little bit of cinnamon and just simple foods with not like no seasonings, just
Mhm.
steamed and then pureed.
I love that. And one thing that I learned, I spoke to a dietitian earlier this year, is that like salt, right? Added salt, like use onion powder, not onion salt, use garlic powder, not garlic salt. But another thing I learned is cinnamon and like turmeric and like pumpkin pie spice is like totally okay. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I like this time around much better, but I was like not seasoning anything. It was really silly. So anyone listening, yes, you can put cinnamon on your apples and it's okay to puree it up. That's not added anything. It's a spice. Anyway, disclaimer, I didn't know that. And so yeah, I think like I remember making my daughter loved apples when she was younger. So like I would make my own applesauce. Like that would be a really easy thing to puree and bring if your kid loves that and like add cinnamon and don't be like me who didn't add cinnamon. Very funny. All right, well we have more questions coming up, but first let's take a quick break. Welcome back. We are continuing our topic about baby's first Thanksgiving. And so this time, this little section, I kind of want to talk about boundaries, expectations, especially for anyone who hosts or maybe not hosting, but has, family coming over or even like going to family members. So first question, Sarah, I don't know, did you ever host Thanksgiving or did you guys travel to your family members for Thanksgiving?
So we kind of did a mixture. I think Oliver's first Thanksgiving, we actually went to a friend's and brought food with us. For
Mm-hmm.
Ava's first, we just kind of hung out at home and did our own thing. And for Liam's first, we hosted and had friends over.
I guess follow up is when you were with different people, right? Like not close friends and family, but like, like a mix of people. What was your expectations? Were you nervous at all for baby led weaning and maybe like the sly comments you might get? Or were you kind of confident enough to be like, this is how I'm going to do things?
So I will say that whenever we had other people with us, they all had young kids of their own or babies of
Mm-hmm.
their own, and they also were all in the military realm. So like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever felt nervous about anything, and I I had very good trust with all of those people that like people weren't going to randomly just try to feed my baby something.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really had to run into that with like family members or anything.
That's good. Lizzie, what about you? Did you guys host Thanksgiving? Do you guys travel? And then what were your like expectations for your kids' first couple of Thanksgivings?
Yeah, so in the beginning, with my first, we still lived really close to my mom and dad and my extended family, which is back in Chicago. So we did Thanksgiving with them the first couple years, and as far as boundaries go, I definitely I'm very comfortable with confrontation and just standing up for what I believe in. So everyone is very aware of that and you're respected everything. There were a
Mm-hmm.
couple moments where, they'd be like, oh, like give the baby water or something crazy. And I just be like, no, the baby's okay. Like, I got it. Like, we're good. But, yeah, I did have to kind of voice what we were going to be feeding our kid and what we weren't because there's just a lot of different, and especially with my first baby, because I was just like by the book, I'm like reading
Mm-hmm.
like articles and like, just making sure that I have a positive eating environment for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little bit more, I guess, stringent with everything with her as well. So I never really ran into any boundary crossing, anything like that. It was always very positive, and I think people were just interested more so in what we were doing.
I love that. Yeah, I would agree. I hosted Thanksgiving all 3 years that I was in Hawaii, but only one of them I had a baby, and she was 8 months old. And honestly, I didn't have to set too many boundaries. It was really easy. I made her plate. I sat by her in the high chair. I fed her, and it kept feeding her what she liked, what she didn't like, and so that was really easy. The one thing I do have to say, and it's not really like a feeding boundary, but I'm very much into baby led weaning and them getting messy. Like
Mhm.
surprisingly, mess does not bother me. Like her whole face is messy, her hands, and that doesn't bother me. It does bother my mom. And so she always wanted to like clean her up, which is okay. But I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Like, I just don't want to continue cleaning her up. Like, it's fine. We'll wipe her down in the end. And so
Mhm.
that's something, but again, it's just one quick little snippet. And, my mom was like, yeah, sure. It's all good. So thankfully I didn't have to set any strict boundaries, which was good. I know some people kind of have to. And so next question for Sarah is tips. So now you have a child with an allergy. So what are some tips that you think other moms maybe who have kids with allergies for boundary setting as far as not feeding another person's kid food, if that makes sense? Like I would never feed your kid something without your permission, but you don't know. People do all the time. Anyway, so what are some tips you have that maybe some moms are nervous about that you can share?
I think the most important thing is to like just remember that you are the advocate for your child, and especially with like, Liam is 14 months old, so
Mm-hmm.
he's just so young, he can't advocate for himself and say, "Hey, I have a dairy allergy," or "Hey, I have an
Mm-hmm.
egg allergy." And that's I would say I'm not very confrontational with stuff, and I'm not typically very good at being like, "No, don't do this."
Mm-hmm.
But I've had to learn to like step up and like, tell people like, "Hey, are you sure it's dairy free?" And like I have
Mm-hmm.
to remind people butter is dairy. People seem to forget that. And so it's like I've even had to tell someone like, "Do you mind if I read the ingredient list?" And that feels so awkward for me. but because I almost feel like weirdly intrusive or feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like telling someone I don't believe them.
Yeah.
But there's been times where I'll look in the ingredient list and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, this is actually dairy or this actually has egg in it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so thankful that I do because I have to advocate so that he doesn't have an allergic reaction. And so I think it's just important that even if you feel uncomfortable, you really put yourself out there and remember, like, you're doing it for your kid. You're not doing it to be rude,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to do what is best for your child.
I so agree. Lisa, do you have anything else to add, especially with how you said earlier that you guys really try to avoid extra food dyes and preservatives? So, what are some tips you have for moms who are kind of crunchy, and they don't want to give their kid the cranberry sauce from the can? They would rather, have the cranberries homemade without the added sugar. What would be your tips for that?
Yeah, so my tips are well, first of all, I don't ever want to like box myself in, and I never want to promote that to anyone else, especially for holidays. If you want to eat different things that you don't normally have,
Mm-hmm.
don't put that extra pressure on yourself, especially if you're going to somebody else's Thanksgiving. You're going to eat things that you possibly wouldn't eat at home every day, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I'm okay with that as well. Kind of like make sure to think about that before I go places because obviously not everyone is going to have the same diet and, diet restrictions, etc. Luckily, I don't have any allergies. My kids don't have any allergies. So for us, while I do hold on to my boundaries, I also leave wiggle room for, if they want, to try a different dessert or, just something different for the holidays. But in general, I do voice when I meet new parents or new friends. Most parents are very open and welcome to you letting them know what your kid does and does not eat. I've
Mm-hmm.
actually found like, even our friends will have like different types of snacks for the kids or just, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy, like just fruit instead of having like random fruit snacks.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are very accommodating and we're, parents. So we kind of support each other and we're not like trying to make each other feel weird about each other's eating habits.
I so agree. I also feel like I'll talk to like new moms or moms of like young toddlers and they'll be like, "Oh no, no, like my kid eats this snack." And I'm like, "Ooh, where'd you get that? Like tell me the ingredients. Like I want to know, like
Yeah.
is it really good? Like I'll start buying it for my daughter." I so agree. I do love like the little mom communities where like we kind of swap our ideas and obviously we don't have to agree with everything, but I love when a new mom is like, "Yeah, I really am
Mhm.
liking these little melties that have like four ingredients rather than, you know what I mean, something else."
Yeah.
And I'm like, heck yeah, I'll start buying that from Costco. I think it's super great, which is good. Awesome. Yay. Well, we have more questions coming up, but first we will take another break. Welcome back to Newbies. We are continuing our topic on baby's first Thanksgiving. So this is more of like a foodish type question for anyone who like is hosting Thanksgiving or like you guys are seasoned moms. Maybe you can share some tips of like some of the favorites your kids have ate. But first question, Lizzie, is it worth it to prepare food beforehand? So let's say you are going somewhere for Thanksgiving. Do you think it's worth it struggling with kids, right? Because I feel like once you become a mom, your task like quadruple, right? It's no longer just getting ready and having your husband get ready. It's like getting ready, husband ready, packing the diaper bag, getting your kids ready. Anyway, is it worth it to prepare food like the night before or maybe even like 2 days before if you are going out to a Thanksgiving gathering? Do you think that makes day of Thanksgiving easier?
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I would recommend to have everything done beforehand. That's usually what I do whenever we go anywhere. We're going to like a gathering and I'm bringing a plate of food or anything. I will always make sure that I have that done already if possible, or prepped if it's something that
Mm-hmm.
needs to be fresh. At least I will have everything prepped. And that way, like, my husband can watch the kids in the morning and I get whatever I need to get ready. And there's just less to do. And that's also what I mean by like kind of leaving wiggle room for things where like I will bring snacks for my kids if we're going out just in case there is like a food that they're not familiar with or that I don't want them to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I do leave that wiggle room just so that I don't have that stress and I don't have to bring like an extra lunch bag with me because the less bags you bring the better because you already have to bring everything else with you as a parent.
Most definitely. And I will have to say, as kids get older, it does get better and it does get lighter, right? You're not bringing like 12 diapers,
Yeah, yeah.
like a 3-month-old, but when you have like a 9-month-old, you're bringing like 4. You're fine.
Changes of
Um,
clothes, everything. Like,
exactly. Yes, change.
all
Oh
of
my
it.
gosh. Yes, bringing me back. Yes. Sarah, what about you? Do you usually prepare food beforehand, even if you're hosting? I guess whether you're hosting or whether you're going places, do you usually prepare beforehand? And do you find doing that, is that like easier, for mom day of Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I mean, my answer is very similar. It is absolutely. Because even just for the context of you have one kid or you have three kids, no matter what, having young kids, you're going to be busy. And so just to like relieve some of the stress, I will pre-prep whatever I can in the days leading up to Thanksgiving. That way, whether we're staying home doing our own thing or we're going somewhere, I'm not super stressed the day of. And
Mm-hmm.
so I can spend time with the family, or if there is some kind of like chaotic thing that happens, at least I'm already ready. Um, Something that I'm actually planning, we're going out of town and going to family for the first time in, man, like 10 years for Thanksgiving this year. And so something that I will be doing is preparing at least 3 or 4 dairy-free, egg-free dishes
Oh,
that
smart.
I will absolutely know are like perfectly okay. I'm gonna make a vegan pumpkin pie and I'm gonna prep those ahead of time just so that one, I can help everybody else with what they need, but two, that way there's also no cross contamination whenever
Mm-hmm.
everyone's trying to cook. So I definitely think that it is useful in so many different aspects.
Absolutely, especially if your little one has some sort of like food aversion. I think that's super, super smart. So now, fun topic. Let's talk about favorite foods your little ones ate. I'll go first. My daughter absolutely loved the sweet potatoes. She loved the turkey. She's always been a meat eater. Like she's just always loved meat. Um, and she loved deviled eggs was another one I'm trying to remember, and the stuffing. And like I said, she wasn't a big fan of mashed potatoes, but and then I think I gave her like regular like pumpkin puree. I didn't give her pumpkin pie, but I did give her pumpkin puree. And that was a hit for a little bit too. Lizzie, I'll toss it to you. What are some foods that your little ones ate? And I love that you guys have more than one kid because you can compare the two. But what are some foods that your kids loved?
Yeah, so my kids actually did love the mashed potatoes, so that was like a hitter that it still is to this day. That's like
Good.
one of their favorite foods. Any kind of potato, really. They're potato kids. And then the peas. Peas were like my
Mm,
son's, he's the youngest, he's 2, and that was like his favorite food for almost like a year. Like he
fun.
loved them. Even after the puree, like he would eat like even I mean honestly till now like he really loves peas, which I think like some people think is like so strange because they're like why.
I
uh,
like
but
peas too, so
yeah, they're like
they're
they're
very
kind of like a
yummy.
non-offensive food, they're
Yeah.
not like super flavorful, but you can put a little salt, a little pepper on them, and
Literally.
they're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's one of my baby's favorite foods
Oh,
as
how
is right
funny.
now. Loves peas.
Awesome.
That's fun. I absolutely love that. Sarah, what about you? I love again that you have 3 kids, so you can talk about if they've loved the same things, if they love different things. What are some good Thanksgiving foods?
I just think it's so funny because I think all three of my kids are just foodies. They don't really seem to like have food that they don't like. So they definitely always really, really enjoyed the sweet potatoes and the
Hmm.
turkey, mashed potatoes, all of that. And then a different food that most people probably don't have at their Thanksgiving meal is we would always have like poke,
Oh,
and
yum.
my
Well, yeah.
son and daughter loved
Yum.
poke. So,
Oh, how
yeah,
fun. Oh, I'm gonna be missing that.
same. I dream
Oh,
about it. It's fine.
what are, since you guys both kind of talked about baby-led weaning, what are some foods that are not typically safe for baby-led weaning? And like, I'll go first. Like, I'm thinking of like whole cranberries that aren't mashed up. You know what I mean? Could be a choking
Ooh, yeah.
hazard.
Mm.
I know depending on the age, and again, we are not experts. I'm not a dietitian here, but I know depending on the age, you're supposed to not chop up like meat, that way a kid can like grab it and gnaw on it and not be too small. But what are some other foods that you guys can think off the top of your head that's maybe not baby led weaning safe? Sarah, I'll toss it over to you first.
It's funny because you say my name, and I'm like, I actually probably am not the best to answer this because
It's
I don't think
okay.
I followed any of the rules.
You just kind of
Um,
gave your kids.
no,
That's
I mean,
fine.
immediately that comes to mind is things like grapes and stuff. I'm always really
Mm-hmm.
hesitant with stuff like that, but that was never really like a Thanksgiving staple for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, just anything that they could easily choke on. You definitely want it to be either really small pieces or bigger pieces, kind of depending on the age. Like
Yes. Yeah.
what my 6-month-old could have, my 12-month-old, like, or what my 6-month-old can't have, my 12-month-old can, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. What about you? Can you think of anything? And I know even thinking like hard carrots wouldn't work. I think they're supposed to be like soft and boiled. But anyway, any other comes to mind?
You know what? Yeah, I have a big one, and I hope people hear this one
Oh,
because
good.
I learned this one the hard way. I make bread a lot at home, so
Mm-hmm.
bread is a big one where I'd say like wait a little bit, especially depending on which type of bread it is. I make sourdough, and it was my son was chewing on a piece of sourdough and it was just too thick, like the
Mm-hmm.
outer the coating on it, it's too thick and it's actually kind of slick as well. So luckily, like he did it did get stuck in his throat and I was able to get it out because it was sticking out. But that was the one really one of the only like baby led weaning scares that I've had, and that was just because I gave him bread and
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be safe. He liked it, but it just was it's too crumbly, and like
Mm-hmm. That
Hmm.
there's
makes sense.
just it's a weird food for them to eat very young, like when before they get teeth and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that. Definitely could be scary. And I know when I was doing baby led weaning, there's a difference between gagging and choking. And I think that's
Mhm.
important to look up. I'm just going to leave it there because I'm not an expert. But yes, it's
Yes.
very important. There's a big difference between gagging, which kids do, it's a natural function, and choking, which is kind of scary. So I'm glad you noticed your kid was choking
Mhm.
and not just gagging, and you were able to be right there, which is good. Cool. Well, our last question is how to involve an under 1 year old in Thanksgiving traditions. I'll go first. We took a ton of photos. That was super fun because that one, they can't really talk that much yet. They're still, some of them are learning to walk still, and so it's kind of hard to include them. So a lot of photos is what I did. Obviously, as the years go on, it'll get better. But what are some fun Thanksgiving traditions or I don't know, family things you can think of to make it special to document baby's first Thanksgiving? Lizzie, I'll toss it to you first.
Yeah, so one that's very young, like you said, a lot of pictures, that's what we did as well. With both of my kids, I do like to include them in my cooking because that's where I'm at, so
Hmm.
they want to be there too. I have my 4-year-old help me with everything. I That's how I grew up as well. So like this year I'm making tamales for Thanksgiving instead of a
Mm,
turkey.
yum.
And my daughter will be in the kitchen helping me, and that is just one way that I really, get them involved in the traditions. And we document with pictures because I want to be able to show these pictures to them when they're older, and
Hmm.
show them like, hey, look, like this is our tradition and you've been doing it since you were a baby.
I love that. Aw, Sarah, what about you? What are some traditions you can involve the whole family, including a under 1 year old?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with taking lots of photos. I definitely think that every time that I have a baby, it's their first holiday or like first Thanksgiving, I always dress them up with like some kind of cute turkey outfit.
I love that.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
And then we like to watch the Macy's Day Parade every year. And
Oh
so
my
I
goodness,
think that,
yes.
yeah, we put that on. The kids think it's fun, and we all kind of just hang out and watch it and just kind of have the kids play downstairs. If they want to help me in the kitchen, they can, or if they just want to play toys while I'm like in the kitchen, but we're all still together. And I think that's the
Hmm.
main thing that we try to get across to our kids is just it's about family time and about just spending time with your loved ones, and kind of like you said earlier, like just sitting the high chair next to you at the table, like that helps make them feel involved when they're little.
I know. I loved that. Yay. Well, thank you both for joining. I'm super excited. This was a fun one. Hopefully, it'll ease the stress of new mothers because Thanksgiving is super fun. I'm a big foodie. I love to eat. And I think you guys both said some really great tips about food and family time. So, yay. Thanks, you guys both for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Yay!
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys both for joining us today. Be sure to check out newmommymedia.com where we have all our podcast episodes plus videos and more. That wraps up our show for today. Thanks for listening. If you love newbies as much as we do, please consider checking out the amazing businesses that sponsor our show week after week. And we'd also love for you to tell another new mama about this resource, which of course is absolutely free. And if you want to check out some of the other podcasts we produce, such as Preggy Pals, Parent Savers, The Boob Group, and Twin Talks, then visit our website at newmommymedia.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram for more information, giveaways, and more. Our handle is at newmommymedia. Thanks for listening to Newbies.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.